from both sides of my family. We were fighters. We had a last name to uphold, I guess. Like, oh, you're the Garbrandt clan, or you're the Meese clan. You don't mess with those guys. Going and watching my uncle fight at an early age, and my grandfather would be drunk in the stands fighting with another spectator, and we'd just be sitting there watching it. There's normality for us. That was normal in our life. We were very competitive. Me and my brother, I can always remember fighting him at a young age. Zach was always my fierce competitor. Out of the womb, I was, fighting over a bottle. I think that's what our mom put us in wrestling, to expend that energy. And we weren't beating up on each other, but we were going in there and we're learning a discipline as a young child, all the way up to I wrestled in college. It was the same thing every day. It was just dedication, hard work. My brother was always, bigger, faster, stronger, meaner than me growing up. So I think that's why I was always the quick to fight. Something I had to prove. Me and Zach, we fought so many times in our life. Some pretty violent fights. Remember one time I nearly cut his middle finger off with a knife when I was a teenager. We were at our adopted father's house, and he came at me like that. And I saw that face so many times, I knew that he was gonna throw some punches at me. And I just saw knives in the sink go like this, right down to the bone. And then he just looked at me, and I remember him punching the stove. He just shattered the whole glass stove, wrapped his finger up with paper towel, went back to bed. But our last fight, I was 17 and he was 18. We ended up fighting over a Subway sandwich. The fight escalated from my grandma's kitchen to her trying to break it up. So we were both jumping in our vehicles and driving down to the pump house, where we would take out-of-towners to fight. We would take them outside of city limits where cops wouldn't go. It was literally probably like a 45 minute fight. It was always a knockout, drag-out fight with Zach. It was always one of those, we might die, honestly. The reason I have this cauliflower ear was from Zach. He punched me so hard, my ear just ballooned up. My knuckles were all cut up, and I was, my lip was all, my teeth were all busted up. And but that's the day that I finally saw Zach kind of be immortal. I hit him with a right hand, overhand right, and he had the stanky legs. He was walking in potholes, and he looked at me with this crazed look, like, all right, awesome, finally Cody hit me with a nice shot that hurt me. But he's been my best friend, my sole competitor. I'm so thankful for all the thumpings and the fights that we got into that made me who I am today. And not only just the fights, he was there for me. There's a part of the story where Zach came in and intervened in my life where I wanted to give up. I was a teenager. I think I was a senior in high school. I wanted to become a state champion again. I won state as a freshman. I got beat as a sophomore. I was injured as a junior. And wrestling was something that I did my whole entire life. And I think losing the passion for that, I didn't have any drive, just felt unaccomplished. And I got in with the wrong crowd. We started, doing some drugs and partying and kind of living super carelessly, and it almost consumed my life. I felt like my road was running to an end. For a while, I wasn't who I was. I was in a very dark place, a very, very dark place. And almost, hung myself. And my brother came in the door, and he saved my life. It's the first time I'm talking about it, but it was, I've never been more grateful for him. He just came in and busted down the door and, gave me the biggest hug, and, sat there with me and cried with me, and said everything was gonna be all right. And that was the day that, really was a changing point for me in my life as well. And that moment, that bond, and that thing that we, what we went through really, brought us even closer. And we ended up, attending church services together. And, it was nice to be there with my big brother and worshiping God and learning and, growing towards Him. So that was the start of a growing relationship with the Lord. Through going to the church, through reading different books about the Lord, and just kind of growing my relationship with Him on a spiritual level, speaking to Him daily, I really understood that God sometimes carries you through this life. He's definitely carried me a lot of times in my life, and still carries me. surrender is a foreign word to many fighters, and it was a foreign word to me in my life. But there's a time and a place that you do need to surrender, and I'm always thankful that I'm able to surrender to him. It's not that I'm fighting in it anymore. There's a lot of life events that I can look back on that he was with me. You know, sometimes he would be carrying me, pulling me, pushing me. A higher power, if you want to say. And that higher power was Jesus Christ. I always knew that he was with me. My name is Coди Garbrandт, and I am second.